like-minded, that understands you. Unpack that a little bit more for us.
Yes. So I've had coaches in the past and they were wonderful, wonderful people who definitely helped me with skill set and just building my core skills in this business. And I didn't mention this, but I'm a midlife career change here. I've been around real estate and finance and accounting on a different side, kind of back office financial leadership side of the business. But going into sales 3.5 years ago was newer for me. And so learning that skill set, the coaches were really helpful there. But in order for me to really build my business and grow and break through levels, I needed someone to understand me kind of, and I might not be the stereotypical personality that you might think of in real estate. There's all sorts of personalities in this business that I've learned that, but I'm an introvert and I needed someone to help me, not give me the cookie cutter solution, the one size fits all coaching, and really understand who I am and what obstacles I'm facing. And they really drew that out. I'm trying to think of a good example. I tend to, when I get stressed out and I feel like I am not being successful, I tend to go internal and just shut down. and and then that cycle can last for a long time. And my sponsor helped me recognize that more quickly and break the cycle a lot faster. So I'm getting better and better at that.
I love that. And I think it's such an important thing that you're pointing out, Kim, that there is not a one size fits all. Isn't that one of the most beautiful things about the real estate industry? And yet sometimes agents fall into a trap that they're around a group of people that only know how to do a certain thing a certain way. And if that doesn't work, then the agent can fall victim to, either not the same amount of success or perhaps complete failure. I love that you shared that.
Yeah,
Dion,
absolutely. The stories that we tell ourselves, right?
oh, sure. And how that impacts our mindset. Dion, do we have your audio, friend?
I think so. Can you hear me?
We
Yay!
do. Yes, yes. All right,
Thank,
Dion, share with us that first year at eXp Realty. How did that first 12 months truly ignite your business?
thank you so much for having me on the panel, and my apologies for the technological hiccup. I joined eXp in 2022, July of 2022. So I just completed my first full calendar year in 2023. Prior to coming to this wonderful organization slash company, I was just doing about 2.5 million in sales, which translate to maybe 6 to 10 transactions. The ability to um, have an additional license was one of the main reasons why I joined eXp. So I was able to add a license in New Jersey, add that to my business, coupled with referrals, etc., all helped me tremendously. My first year, I joined in July. I went to eXpCon in October. It was phenomenal. I was able to connect with so many other realtors throughout the country, and get those referrals. So I got agent to agent referrals. I also received additional referrals from some of the vendors I work with, etc. Um, I love having all the partnerships. That's what helped to ignite my business. And with that, in 2023, I was able to go from 2.2 million to about 5.7, which translate I closed 24 deals in 2023, which I've never done before. And I've been in real estate since 2015.
Acquired your license in a secondary state, more
Yes,
than doubled your business, and made a transition, elevating your
yes.
business to eXp Realty. Pat yourself on the back, Dion.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
You talked a little bit about agent to agent referrals. Share with us, go deeper on that. Share with us. Sometimes agents I've heard say, I'm going to join a new brokerage. And in the first year, I could never rely on agent to agent referrals because I'm not as well known yet. So that's some of the mindset that I hear from time to time is a little mind trash. That didn't seem
So
the case for you, Dion. So talk to us a little bit about first year at eXp. You're already growing agent to agent referrals.
So, which was so interesting. I love Workplace, which is our internal Facebook group. Um, I received a lead from someone who I've never met, which was absolutely amazing. She was in North Carolina, the client was in New Jersey. She saw I was in the neighborhood and she sent me the lead. And that's how they keep working. Um, Coupled with, we are always supporting each other. And we have a database where we're able to track all the referrals that we're sending out and all the ones we're receiving. And that's what made a difference.
So seamless backend, great connection from day
Connections.
one, already gaining agent to agent referrals. I love that. We're coming back to
Yes.
you, Kim and Dion. So thank you for launching us off like
Thank
that.
you.
Appreciate you both. Matt and hello, friend.
Hello, my dear. How are you?
Amazing. Thank you for sharing your time and talent with us. Talk to us. First 12 months at eXp Realty. Matt, what was truly igniting your business in those first 12 months?
Yeah, so a little bit of background about myself. I'm now in year 3 in real estate. I moved down here from New Jersey. I got licensed in New Jersey, and a month later, I said, nope, I'm moving to Florida. And then I got licensed in Florida. And my situation is probably similar to some, but also different from some. Whereas I moved down here, I knew no one but my grandparents in New Smyrna Beach. There was no sphere to grow. There was none of that organic type of lead generation that I could do. But I knew first and foremost that I needed financial stability in order to have a clear and healthy mindset to put everything into real estate. So serving was always something that I fell back on. So when I first came down here, it was working on all of my real estate during the day and then serving from like 4 p.m. to close almost every single day. And I think the biggest thing for me, I needed flexibility, right? So having EXP and having resources like EXP World and EXP University, where EXP World offered, live streamings of trainings, whereas the university had recorded trainings. I could, work on what I could during the day, be driving into work and listening to recordings so I could do education and, have that financial stability, but on my own time.
When was the last time, or tell us the transition from serving and being dual career to jumping in with both feet, full career real estate? When was that?
Yeah, so my first year, I feel like the gradual effect went from like 80% serving, 20% real estate. And it obviously slowly made that transition. But my first year, to touch on, I did about 3.5 million, 10 units. And then this past year, I did almost 11 million and 29 units. And it was probably the middle of last year that I basically said, I can't do both anymore. But I felt secure enough that I could abandon the service industry and make that jump, and get, to that point. So I would say it took a little over a year to really jump in with both feet and just say there's no going back.
Well, congratulations on that. And there are a number of agents in the industry that are navigating dual careers, and it certainly isn't easy. And yet, one of the things I think we can all be proud of is I bet a lot of us at eXp can say we know an agent who's transitioning from dual career to single focus career, and love that there's people like you, Matt, that are leading the way with that. Let's dig into a statistic that many of us heard before. So drop in chat if you've heard a statistic like this. About 86% of agents fail or quit the industry within what, first 18 months, right? Have we heard that statistic? Yes, hand raised, we've heard it. That's not a fun statistic in the industry. And certainly it's not a statistic that the industry should be proud of, right? And it's a really proud feeling to know that we as a group are overcoming that. However, we can all raise our hands and say, we've had the moments we felt like quitting too. So Dion, share with us, how many times over the last year have you felt like quitting? And by the way, it happens to all of us. I don't know about you, but I probably had a feel like quitting last week. The thing is how we differentiate ourselves. Why didn't we quit? So Dion, how many times did you feel like quitting over the last year? And why the heck didn't you quit?
Quitting was never an option for me. Real estate was my second career. Prior to getting my license in 2015, I had worked 20 years in libraries. And I did not want to stay in that industry. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to help people. So I decided to become a realtor. Um, in December of 2015, I quit my $65,000 job, jumped headfirst into real estate, utilized my 401k in the first 4 months. Um, Went through all the ups and downs as we know real estate can present. And never once did I consider quitting because I knew each person that I vowed to help, that is going to improve my life. And it has. And it's continuing to grow.
How important have the people around you been in that process? We can all think back of when was
Right.
the last time we felt like quitting. We probably have a person or two, our go-to people that we can go, hold on a minute, help me get this mind trash out of my mind. I got no quitting. So how important are those people around you, Dion?
Extremely. So my sponsor at eXp has been a tremendous support. I met her on Clubhouse during COVID, and she has really poured into my business. My family and friends, I've borrowed and begged and pleaded, but most of them did not understand the business that I was in. Um, but I knew like this is what I want to do, and I'm gonna continue forging ahead. And that's what I did. And I tell everyone you need to know your why. I know what my why is. Sometimes I may forget if I'm dealing with a difficult client, but I go back and remind myself my purpose.
Thank you for sharing that. Matt, we're not a part of the 86%, Matt. How
We
many
are
times
not.
have you felt like quitting? Dual career, right? It's popped up. You're human. And why
Well,
didn't you?
this panel started what, half hour ago, so probably an hour ago. But yeah, I mean it. I think it's part of our industry where we have that fear in the back of our head. But I also think that having a little bit of that fear can be helpful. Myself personally, I did have a stint in grad school where I was going to get my PhD at Florida State. I ended up leaving after my master's and I just decided it wasn't for me. So, I have one side of my parents at one point were like, you have a master's degree, just go in that field, do that. So you always had
Mhm.
that like back door that you could kind of fall back on. And the same thing with serving. But I knew that I wanted to be in this industry. It felt right. The service industry and relationships is something that I really pride myself on. So for me, it's just quitting wasn't an option, kind of like Dion said, because not only did I want to prove people wrong that thought that I shouldn't be going this route anyway, but I was too driven to not be able to make it work.
Love that perspective. Kim, no 86% here, right, Kim?
Nope, nope, I'm
How
still
many
here.
times have you felt like quitting? Like it's happened, and why not?
Yeah, I mean, really, I can't count how many times I've felt like quitting. It's been a lot. Especially I think being a midlife career change, kind of like Dion, it's very humbling and you're watching your
Mhm.
peers kind of reach a pinnacle in their careers. And so yeah, a lot. I felt like quitting a lot. And I got to a point, I mentioned that 2022 was a really rough year for my business. And I was at a point just about at towards the end of 22 where I had set aside money to get my business up and running. I had gone through that. I didn't want to go further into savings and just wanted to be responsible to myself and my family. And so I felt like I just had to get a job. and I have a good career to fall back on. And so I did. I went and got a job, and it's a great job, good company, good people. And it took me about, I don't know, a month and a half to 2 months before I got to a point where I just felt really unfulfilled and bored. And I had my real estate license. I wasn't quitting, but I wasn't actively prospecting. I was just taking kind of what came in. And so I felt like I was at a crossroads, and I called a friend and mentor in the business, and he had recently made a brokerage change. I wanted to learn about what was behind that. And then, of course, he started asking me questions about where I was. And I told him I really just didn't know if I could keep doing real estate. And he just said, bottom line, it would be a real shame if you quit real estate at this point. And so he kept talking to me, and I was then connected with my sponsor, who's pretty much a celebrity in our business. And I didn't know that at the time. And he was very patient with me, talked to me a lot, and helped me answer all my questions and come to the conclusion that where I got to was that I can stay in accounting, which was my career, and be okay, but I will never be acting and living at my highest and best use, really. And the only way for me to do that is to really dig into real estate and have that, because I just want freedom. I want to be able to live where I want. I want, when my daughter comes home for my birthday, like last week, I can take the morning off and spend the day at the beach with her. And I just want that flexibility and freedom, along with the ability to build wealth for my family for generations to come. And there's not a lot of other ways to do that. And so I just got to the point where I said, I'm going to dig in and not quit, because this is the only way for me to have the life that I want to have. And so that's what I did. I stayed in my job through November, and by November, with very consistent prospecting every day, I was able to leave my job and go back to real estate full time.
I love that you just said consistent prospecting also, right? Is consistency and good habits are what really pull all of us as entrepreneurs through every season in the marketplace and everything that goes on in the industry. And Dion and Kim and Matthew, we're talking about the word quit. And I think sometimes in the industry, agents are afraid to say that they've felt like quitting. And yet, if we just normalize the reality that at some point, and probably frequently, you're going to feel like quitting, it's hard. The key is how many rooms do you find yourself in where you hear Kim and Dion and Matthew, and this mindset is standardized, because there's always
Right.
somebody you can reach out to that will say, heck no, Kim, you're not leaving, right? And lifting as we climb to say, no, it's okay to feel it. It's what you do with the feeling and who you're around to pull you through it and say, oh, no, this obstacle is just equaling more opportunity. So I want to thank all three of you for having the confidence and vulnerability to say, yeah, felt like quitting an hour ago, probably going to feel like quitting at some point next week. Yet we're together, and we're all grateful for the three of you to share that.
And I think that's a little bit of a misconception that some people might have, especially about different brokerages or even eXp in general. Like one of the main things that I loved is that we're not siloed in different corners. Like, I mean, this is just living proof that we have people all around the globe and we were interconnected with one another. So that collaboration on top of having that mindset is something that is, awesome.
So true, right? All around the globe, all different groups coming together. Let's go tactical. The three of you amazing leaders. Let's go tactical, because right, we have many agents on the Zoom and also watching replays and the live streams. So let's think about those agents for a moment, and let's get tactical with advice the agents watching can walk away with right now and implement, that you feel were huge differentiators in helping you double your production over the last 12 months, right? And there's a lot of agents that say, well, how the heck am I going to double my productions over the next 12 months? So let's get tactical. And I'm probably going to ask you for a couple, right? So roll up your sleeves. Kim, I'm coming to you. What's some tactical advice? Let's get them all working. Leave after this Zoom and do what?
Okay. So I think first step is to really identify what your goals are and what activities you need to do every single day to reach those goals, and have somebody in your life, whether it's a coach or another agent or a friend, to hold you accountable to doing those things, because we all have days when we don't feel like it, and you still have to do it anyway. So I think, it's how many phone calls do you have to make? How many people do you have to talk to? How many appointments do you have to have every week? I'm at the point where I know if I have 4 appointments per week, I'll reach my goal. And so whatever that is for you, start there and then figure out which lead generation prospecting arm works for you. I think we all want to be able to just depend on our past clients and sphere and reaching out to them. And that's great. But I don't think that works until, I mean, for some people, I'm sure it does. But for me, I'm like Matt, I moved when I started in sales. And so I didn't have a local sphere. And you have to build that up, and you have to find other sources to until you can get to that database that you can talk to all the time. So, but what I think we all know what the lead generation arms are. I think the trick is figuring out which one works for you. And I'm going to use Matt as an example. Again, we have different personality types. Like I could do the exact same thing he does and it wouldn't work for me potentially. So I've had to go through and kind of figure out which ones work best for me and then really dig into those. You don't just go through the motions every day, but really for me, for example, with the Revenos arm, I've brought business to people I've been connected through that division. I brought business to them and developed those relationships locally as a result, and gotten to know the people that are leading the efforts behind that. And that I think that's really helped a lot in terms of me getting more leads from that source. So I think just really finding what works for you and digging into it. And it takes time and trial and error.
I really like that you keep bringing us into the mindset of there isn't a one size fits all, right? And that's a beauty of, we're here. We've mentioned eXp Realty from the standpoint of having many different lead opportunities and ways to build a business. And you are such a good example of that. Is if you never want to cold call, you never have to cold call. Period, right? If you never want to call expireds, you don't ever have to call expireds. So I would say, Kim, thank you for pointing out again that it's all about leaning into your authentic thoughts of the industry and what's going to make your feet happy when your feet hit the ground Monday. And then surrounding yourselves with others that are doing similar behaviors to maintain the consistency and good habits. Would you give us, you said identifying goals. Would you give us one of your tips? Because think tactical. If you say identify goals, well, how the heck do I do that? What's one tactical tip they should walk away with on identifying their goals?
Well, I mean, first, like Dion said, you really have to know what your why is. That's the start of it all. And then really quantifying, being very specific and writing them down. I think maybe writing them down would be the tactical tip. You can't just think about them, but writing them down and having them in front of you every day so that you visit them often.
That's smart advice. Smart advice. Dion, we're getting tactical now, friend. What's one tactical piece of advice that you would offer for those that say, how am I more like Dion where I can double my production over the next 12 months?
There are quite a few that I utilize. So similar to what Kim was saying, like I know what works for me. I'm not a cold caller. I'm not going to call expires, but I'm a relationship business type individual. I do better with face to face. I have to have conversations. So whenever I'm out, when I'm networking with other colleagues, I'm always talking real estate. I'm very passionate about real estate. I talk about it all the time. I would not stop talking about it. I'm always giving some suggestions to someone and they will always remember me. So continue those conversations. knowing your numbers are really, really important. That's how you're going to double your business. I was never someone who wrote down my numbers. I didn't know. I was just operating on the whim of things. Created a spreadsheet. I know exactly what is in contract, what's pending, who I'm working with, the constant follow up, doing a business planning annually. That's what helps. So then you can predict where you're going to go in 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years.
Love that. Matt, getting tactical.
How am I going to
One
top this
piece of
too?
tactical advice.
To kind of sum up some of the things that both Dion and Kim said, and then I'll talk about one of my own pieces too. I think the overall theme is just whatever you're doing, just be consistent. Like be consistent at it and do it all the time. And that's obviously going to put you in a better position than other people that, okay, they had some time off and they're just sitting on the couch all day. What are you going to do with that time to go and better your business and yourself? And, like Kim said too, not everything works for everyone. Like whether it's a lead gen, it's going out and doing, networking events, things like that. It's just about the consistency. But to differentiate from some of the things that they just said, my biggest thing, and I tell my mentees that I mentor as well, is just be comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Like when I first came to eXp and got on my team, I wanted to befriend the top people on my team because I wanted to be in the room with them because I could learn those skills because obviously they're doing something right that got them to where they are. So the only way for you to grow your business and expand your knowledge, et cetera, is to step out of that comfort zone because that's going to allow you to develop new skills that will take you to the next level.
And where you lead it in tactically.
Time blocking. And like I said, it is kind of similar to Kim and Dion, but for example, my follow-up is 11 to 1 every single day. It does not change. I sound crazy, but it's 7 days a week. My friends and family know, just do not reach out during that time, because that's how I hold myself accountable. Yeah.
Good habits and consistency, protecting that 11 to 1. And we all know, don't call Matt then. Kim and Dion, I'm coming back to you. You shared amazing insight. If we could go even deeper in tactical, what is an additional tactical piece? Like I'm leaving this Zoom in, 30, 40 minutes and doing what? Kim, nudging on you. I love your identifying the goals. It's brilliant.
Yeah. I think maybe writing down the prospecting channels that you're going to use, write down 3 of them and do them consistently 5 days a week for an hour each for at least 3 months and see what your results are from that. I feel like a lot, well, I won't speak for everyone. I will tell you, when I came into this business, I thought I'd have my first closing in 3 to 6 months and be off and running and be self-sufficient, having replaced a full-time salary after decades of work for, within a year. And that's just not realistic for most people. It's a 3 to 5 year journey to get a business up and running, I think. And so writing those 3 things down, making a plan to do them consistently every day for at least 3 months and probably more like 6, and really looking at your results after that time. If you go and call expireds for a week and you get, you call 100 a day and get 10 a day on the phone and you don't set any appointments and it's been a week and you just say, oh, this doesn't work. And you start telling yourself stories about how the things you're doing don't work and you're not, you'll never be successful in this business. Again, I'm speaking to myself, not all of you. It's just not realistic. Like it takes a lot more time and consistency than I think we think intuitively to make things work. Was that tactical enough?
I love where you're going with that. And it puts me in mind of this. We were talking earlier about 86% of agents fail or quit in the first 18 months. One of the reasons why agents fail or quit that quickly is there aren't enough people around them that will tell them the truth and that will give them the context that they need to make the smart decisions for themselves. And so when you're talking about, you mentioned, like really looking at prospecting channels that might work for you, Kim. I love that you're going there. Here's the thing is how many times do we see in groups like Facebook groups or realtors, an agent asks for advice, does this lead source work? And then they don't have the context to know how long the individual even tried to utilize that lead source. So Kim, when you say like identify the prospecting channel, heck yeah. And then surround yourselves with the people that will say, I've been doing this consistently for, in your case, Kim, you said at least 3 months, right? And I tracked it in these ways. And here's what it took to receive this conversion. Or if I tracked it for 3 months and I did the following behaviors, it didn't work for me because. So I think that what you're sharing is so smart for everybody to really lean in on and say, like, get the full context from people around you to know how things are working and how consistent they're being before you accept advice and really lean into what works for you. Thank you for sharing that. Dion, we're going back to tactical with you, friend.
Yes,
It's
I
an
agree with
additional
you.
tactical action item we're sending our friends home with today.
Um, First of all, I think everyone should realize that real estate is a business and you need to treat it as such. If you're coming from a 9 to 5 W-2 job, as Kim pointed out, it's going to take time for you to earn that first commission and be off running, making the income that you would like, as you did in a W-2 job. Um, know the lead sources, as Kim mentioned, but I also um, talk to every single person that you know, because everybody lives somewhere and they need to have a home. And you will be surprised to see how many people you know are looking for a place or know someone who needs a place to either buy or rent or sell.
Keeping in conversation, right? We
Yes,
always
always.
being in conversation with every human we know. And then what happens? They ask us,
Exactly.
right?
Yes, yes. Also, always be the expert. You are the expert. This is your profession. Real estate is a profession. It's not um it's not a chore or a side hustle. For me, it's really a profession and I treat it as such. And I'm the expert in my field, not your friend and not your mom. Nobody, I have a license. There's a reason why I went to school and I obtained that because I need to know everything about the market, what's going on in the various municipalities, what changes are happening, zoning, etc. So any question you have pertaining to a property, I have the information, and that's how you're gonna build. You're gonna build your business, and you're gonna get people coming to you.
Even more important now than ever, right? As the
Correct.
industry is navigating some, turning the chapter to the next chapter and navigating some potential change, the
Mm-hmm.
professionalism being the expert is going to be critical. And if it's okay if you're not yet an expert in a certain area, just make sure you're surrounded by others who will pour into you. Which leads me to a little bit of a bonus nudge I want to give all three of you. Um, we're eXp agents. That means we're shareholders in eXp World Holdings, right? Being a shareholder is a superpower of which often is overlooked, I feel, by even eXp agents and certainly by some others who haven't joined us yet. I'm curious, Kim, Dion, Matt, How do you feel being a shareholder has been a superpower for your business? Kim, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you asked this question because I love this feature of eXp. It's one of the big reasons why I joined. Um, so for me, it's just a forced savings plan. It's like a 401k where we can contribute 5% of our each commission check and buy stock at a discount. And that's just really fantastic, you know? So I have this money sitting in an account from, I haven't even been here a year yet, just from doing that. I don't miss it when it's gone. And it's a huge factor in building the wealth that I want to build in my business that you just don't get at many other brokerages. And I'm just getting started. I mean, I can't wait to be an icon and get my cat back in stock. So
I love that. Dion,
Same here. That's one of the main
shareholder is a
reasons.
superpower, right?
Yes,
How
yes.
has being a shareholder already been a superpower for you?
It's a motivation because in my previous job, I was able to have a 401k and contribute to it. And being at other companies, other brokerages, I didn't have that. So to see the contribution and the contribution to the plan, how the funds are growing, it's a great motivator. I'm really motivated to see the increases. So that adds to me increasing my volume as well.
Love that. Matt, shareholder superpower.
I think for me, it just shows a lot of the ways that I can't wait to dive into further about different ways for passive income within our brokerage, right? Like I don't long term want to have to be chasing the next deal or worrying about a lot of those things. So the ability to have a contribution to stocks, but also have different avenues to have income coming in can help, kind of like Kim mentioned earlier about having that generational wealth. I love that, within eXp, we have that diversification where there's a lot of different ways that we can go about it.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. And Rich Tomasini, I'm pulling you back in. I love a little spontaneity, so I'm pulling you back in, friend.
I'm happy to jump in. So
I would love
I've
to
been this
know
quiet in my
shareholder
entire
superpower, but first though, Rich, I gotta give you props because he's not going to do this for himself, so I'm going to. Many of you may not know there's an organization at eXp Realty. It's called P Family Tree. It was co-founded by Rich Tomasini, Mitch Riback, Elizabeth Riley, and Hank Avink. And one of the reasons I think it's important for this to be pointed out is because it's a group of organically grown organization of over 10,000 agents who came together, no silos, to share in the fact that we are shareholders, which is a superpower because when you are an owner in your company, you treat your company differently. And so, Rich, thank you for being a co-founder of eXp Family Tree, which is proof in the pudding. Look what you were able to pull together yet again, everyone collaborating. So high five to you. And now I throw it to you. Being a shareholder is a superpower, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, frankly, I never thought that way before. It was sort of don't copy my homework and I won't copy yours. Everybody's in a cubicle. And I grew tired of that without realizing I grew tired of it in the moment. I was once you get to a certain point where you're the most powerful person in production in your office, you are stuck. You're working in a TP for the rest of your life, and there's no one that's going to expand your skill set or challenge you. And I don't like being whatever a small fish in a tiny puddle is what it really actually is. I want to be a small fish in an ocean, and I want to be able to have exposure to people like you've listened to today. And I think a lot of agents out there don't realize we're going out there and telling the public that they need to own property for long-term wealth building, one of the largest wealth builders for Americans in the history of the world's recording of it. And we're renting our careers for 26 years. I've been licensed. So the last 6.5 years I've been here, eXp has given me more than I've given them, just like my credit card company when I pay off the balance every month. And I've been around some of the sharpest minds in the business. And Renee, you've icon and gotten your money back here from whatever, a dollar a share all the way up. I know how that's impacted your life as well. One thing I find to be very refreshing with a shareholder is that normally you have to write a big check to get ownership, and you're only getting ownership of a little tiny geographical spot, a little franchise or something. What I like about what we talked about, and Matt alluded to it, and Kim's living it. I spent an hour a week with Kim, and Dion also just touched on it on the last question. Is that when you're a shareholder, there's more options on the menu. So you have your linear income, go sell your real estate. For many of us, that was a pay increase immediately just by plugging our numbers into a capping model, just even that limited. Number 1.5, a lot of us got our money back. If you're a top producer and you came over here, this was a pretty wild model. Number 2, how to build leverage income. We leveraged the company to give us shares for real estate behaviors anyway. So I like leveraged income. I think most of us do. That's why you list the last. That's why you see so many team leaders on the listing side. But most importantly is that this is the only company that allows you to be an entrepreneur without any huge cost. I mean, you basically sign up and you have the ability to grow an organization and to be around other people. And that sort of residual income is key, especially when you're starting to push 50 and you've been doing this forever. Like I started thinking to myself, my God, I do want to evolve somewhere. Not that I don't ever want to stop selling houses or do anything different, but I want to be able to say yes when I want to. And when I see Matt and where he's at and Kim's volume go through the roof, I mean, we've been able to coach a lot of these folks for free just because we're all shareholders. And that collaboration's never been done. Other people can copy it. It's never been done at a party this size. And I think it's awesome. And what I've learned being greedy and selfish and my searching information and being around other great people, much like yourself, Renee, is insane. I'm an entirely different person professionally than I was, at 40. So anyway, verbose answer, but it's just there's so much here.
There's so much to unpack with what you shared too, and it probably wasn't highlighted enough on this session is there are so many brokerages where you might have access to this level and more of training. However, it's a plus, plus, plus theory. It means you're going to go to the brokerage, you're going to find out all this fine print fee syndrome. And yet Kim and Dion and Matthew, y'all are talking about amazing access to training, leveling up, collaboration, that there was no plus, plus, plus. And that's been a differentiator for me as well. Rich, I'm with you, and I am older than you. A lot.
Not cosmetically.
I'm grateful to not have to pay the plus, plus, plus more to have access to rooms like this.
Yeah, me too. So, this is just a normal Monday, right? I'm on a 100-person Zoom call several times a week, right? And what I love about a conversation like this is the people that need the coaching are oftentimes the ones that can't afford it or don't believe they can afford it. Either one could be true. Both can be true. And I've never charged for our weekly coaching ever. I did one experiment to get a coaching module set up for a short stint. But basically, you guys have access. I mean, we have agents on this call that do 5 to 10 transactions a year, and we have agents that do 20, 30,000 transactions from an entrepreneurial standpoint. And everybody's accessible and everybody actually cares. And they're also financially incentivized to help support you, which I prefer even over a handshake. I like a financial incentive. I'm a capitalist at heart, So anyway, so it was a great group. Renee, you did a great job. We have a few more of these. So we have a second one with very different agents and very different approaches. And then we have a third one, radically different agents, higher production level. So we're going into all the different phases of where you would go from sort of what was my first 12 months look like, how was able to double a $20 million business. I was able to double a $40 million producer, business. And then I'm doing a fireside chat with Renee and Elizabeth, who are two of the most dominant performers we've ever had at this company. And I will ask all the questions that you guys want me to ask on that. I like going granular. I like going tactical. I like to know, what do I do right now? I'm lost. What do I do right now? So thank you so much, everybody, for being on the call. And we will see you next Monday at 1:30 with the second round of flyers that go out. All right.
Thank you, Rich. And shout out to Kim, Dion, and Matt.
Yeah, nice job.
You guys were
Thank
amazing.
you, guys.
Thank you so much. It was an honor to be here.
Thank you.